Shabbat Shalom and good morning to all who are within the sound of my voice. Thank you for joining me this morning. I know it's a tad bit early, but the purpose for this is to start to get these videos out early on the Sabbath so that you can have time to sit down and review, study with me, go into Torah and start to learn something different. First and foremost, my name is Hebron ben Bilal. I'm the elder teacher of the Remnant of the House of Israel. If you have not already, go to the YouTube page, to the YouTube channel, like and subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications. I also have a secondary YouTube channel. It's called the Backyard Chronicles, which we'll probably aptly rename it Boomer Logic, because of some stuff my nephew had been saying. So I think I like that better, Boomer Logic, because the logic that we give on that channel is from the Boomer era and how boomers see things. But I digress on that point. This morning is the Sabbath, and as you can see by the thumbnail, we will be starting in at, as I promised, our top 3 at 5. Now I know it's a little later than 5 o'clock, but I wanted to get set up and everything and give a introductory kind of breakdown to what we will be doing on this particular platform when we do have it, and we will have it twice a week. It always is going to be on the Sabbath early, so that it doesn't get in the way of your regularly scheduled Sabbath programming, whatever you do, whatever house of worship you might go to. If you just want something just to sit and listen to while you get yourself together, you can tune in here. And what we're going to do is we're going to be going through the whole 613 commandments, 3 at a time. And the reason that we're going to do them 3 at a time is because I want to give them a breakdown in regard to application, not only how they were applied then and why they were important then, but why they are very important and how they are still applicable today. Now, I do understand once we get into the whole priesthood thing and the sacrificial aspect of it, that probably won't be able to give a modern day breakdown or a modern day application. But we're still going to go through all of those, and we definitely want to do all 613. Now, the reasoning for jumping out there and doing the 613 is because, like I always say, here at the Remnant of the House of Israel, we are on basic teachings. We do the basic educating in regard to, like, Torah. What is the Torah? What are the 613 laws? Pointing them out law by law. Pointing out the holy days, breaking the holy days down so you can have a clear, concise understanding of which days they fall on. Biblically, what you are to do on them, because you have a lot of people coming into the knowledge of the truth who are waking up from a state of unconsciousness and are learning who they are, but just don't know how to keep the precepts, the concepts, the commandments. So they don't even know what a Torah is and what it's not. So I believe it's very important because of my journey, my personal journey. Many of you have heard the story that when I came to a state of consciousness, that I didn't have anyone around me who was conscious, who knew about Torah, who knew how to study Torah, who knew how to follow Torah. And I had to really get in there and do it on my own. Had limited resources because I was incarcerated. And I had to get in there and I had to learn it on my own. I had to get in there and, order sources and, have the chaplain pull up things for me. And it was a long, arduous journey, but I learned, and I believe that there should be sources at our fingertips, such as like this, that you could just punch on and, start to learn. Also, I've had some brothers reach out to me, some of the incarcerated brothers who have told me, listen, we need information in here on a daily basis where, where we can continue to grow. When you left, there was a void here where we didn't have anyone that was teaching us the basics, that was keeping us in tune with the holy days and things of that nature. So now we're left without a guide or a rudder because even though there was another brother placed in place after I left, he left as well. So you have these brothers reaching out to me saying, "Hey, listen, the basics. We need to learn the basics. We need to learn about the commandments, the 613. How do we do these things? What are they? How do we get our lives back in order?" Also, I've discovered that out here as well, that you have that. You have a lot of brothers and sisters who have jumped the basics and have went straight into deeper subject matter, who have completely and totally neglected the 613. And that is how you are easily manipulated into believing everything, because that is one of the commandments, that you are to study it and learn it for yourself. That's a commandment, that you are to meditate on it, you are to study it, you are to memorize these commandments. These things should be etched in your heart and as well as in the front of your mind, so you can pull them up at the drop of a dime. Now, before I jump into, because I'm just going to give a breakdown of what it is, that overview of what it is that we will be doing on this channel. I mean, with this platform, and I'm also going to come back later and actually start the top three. I've already selected three that we're going to do today, and we're going to do it twice a week. It's going to be on the Sabbath, and we're going to do it on Wednesday. But I wanted to kind of put something out there, give some information right now about, a lot of you are going to see that the old Remnant of the House of Israel page is going to be shut down. Also with my personal page, the Hebron Bilal page, that's going to be shut down as well. This is all new to me, the social media thing and all the trolling and foolishness that comes along with it. I understand the importance of being very, very cautious. And I couldn't understand initially when people made their pages private and they only invited certain people in. That's important. And you just won't be able to go on this new Remnant page if you haven't gotten an invite as of yet. You will if you are one of the people that were initially on the page. And there's going to be a lot of things that come with this new Remnant page. We're going to start a connect, which we will get into, or a storehouse. Those who are on that page will have the first shot at the things that will be in the storehouse. There's going to be information, lessons and things of that nature that's going to be on that page as well. That if you are not a member of that page, if you have not been accepted as a member, you won't have access to. I am learning slowly that, and forgive my ignorance, that it's uber important as far as a vetting process, because of the comments and things of that nature that I've been seeing pop up on the page. Now I can take criticism. I done years in prison, so that's not a humongous issue with me. The issue is the trolling, the senseless things that are being said, that really don't, you're not even talking about the subject matter. I could see if you had an issue with what was being put out there, but you're not. You're just trolling, doing foolish things. So once again, this is a platform that has been created for individuals who want to learn, who want to understand what the Torah is. Why do we follow these commandments? What are the commandments? How do I, as an Israelite, or just an individual who is a skeptic, someone who's just learning or wanting to learn what is actually in the Bible or in the Torah, to come and get on and subscribe and follow and all that stuff, and you'll learn. So without further ado, a few things that I want to put out there this morning in regard to what we'll be doing, and kind of educating you on a few things before we move into the top three at 5. So one of the first things that needs to be taught is that there's 613 commandments in the first 5 books of the Bible, which is known as the Torah, or the laws of Moses. Those would be Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. The first 5 books of the Bible is known as the Torah, or the laws of Moses. This is where all 613 commandments derive from. And just go ahead and touch on this really quick. When a lot of people ask, what Bible do Israelites subscribe to? And that's asked a lot. We subscribe to the very same one that Christians believe is a Christian Bible. The King James, whatever you want to call it. That one that comes with 66 books in it. That's the one that we subscribe to. Now, understand, we are not just limited to that canonization of Holy Script. We also have the Pentateuch that we look at, the Tanakh that we look at as sacred. I'm looking at them right now. Also, the Apocryphas we look at as sacred. Those are Bibles. Those are different writings that we subscribe to because it speaks about Hebrew history. But when people ask that, we subscribe to the very same one. You have a Torah right with you if you're interested in following and saying, well, where do I get a Torah from? It's in your Bible. It's just the first 5 books. That's called the Torah, the laws of Moses. So it's simple. If you want to follow along, you want to learn what the commandments are. If you are a person who says the commandments are done away with, you no longer have to do it. Just follow along with this. And as you follow along, ask yourself why you no longer have to do it. Why would your pastor stand up there and teach you that you no longer have to subscribe to keeping the 613 commandments? Now, while we're on the topic of the 613 commandments, those will be broken down in 2 ways. You're going to have the negative and you're going to have the positive commandments. You're going to have, I got my little cheat sheet over here. You're going to have 248 positive commandments, 248 positive ones, such as, you can or you shall, or you know what I'm saying? Then you'll have 365 negative commandments. Those you shall not, don't do this, don't go over there, don't touch that. Those are the negatives. So you have the positives and you have the negatives. You have them split in half. Now, a lot of people like to break them down in accordance to context. And what I mean by context is like there's a bunch of laws that are geared towards farmers, agriculturalists, the king, and so on and so forth. So they have them broken down in 6 different sections. The first one will be the ceremonial laws, which is the priesthood, what they're doing, and also I believe that some people believe that I think the ceremonial also has to do with the holy days. Not sure. I really never looked into it. I just learned the 613 commandments personally, but I just never really got into the whole thing of, okay, those are ceremonial, and I don't look at them that way. I just look at them in their overall, and we'll get into a deeper dive in just a second. You also have what is known as the civil laws. Those will be, you can go to jail, you can earn the death penalty for these particular things. Those are the things that are penalized, so on and so forth. You also have the moral laws. Those are the things that, you can't be penalized for, but it has to do with your morality. What do you do in accordance to your neighbor? You know what I'm saying? How do you interact with him, women, so on and so forth. You have the criminal laws. You also have the agricultural laws, and you have family. So those are the 6 things that they say that the 613 commandments are broken down into. Now, let me give you a quick overview in regard to the 613 commandments. So here's the thing. With the 613 commandments, you're going to have a lot of people who say, well, 613 laws, nobody can keep all those. That's exactly why Jesus came and did away with them, because no one could keep them. Well, the 613 laws, when you start to learn and you look at them, they're not all meant for one group of people to keep. So like, for instance, for me, let's just use me, for instance. I'm not a king. So I think it's 10 laws that are there in place for the king that Yahweh had put into place. For when a king comes to rule, he has to follow these particular standards. Even though he follows all the others, he has 10 particular ones that are geared just towards him. I'm not a king, so I don't have to obey those particular ones. They won't, bother me in any way, shape, or form. Also, there are laws in accordance to women, childbirth, their cycle. It's just in general dealing with women. So I don't have to bat an eye in accordance to those, except for some of the ones that deal with the women overlap in regard to men. Sexual interaction. When can you lay with your wife? When can't you lay with your wife? Those are the ones that would affect me, but I can't keep the ones that have to do with administration or a childbirth. I can't keep those. So once again, there are 613, but they all won't fall to you. You're not a farmer. If you're not a farmer, the ones that have to do with the agricultural system, they don't fall to you. So once again, when people say, well, no one can keep all 613, yeah, you're right. Because it was not meant for everyone to keep all 613. So understand that when the laws of Moses were given, or when Yahweh sent down the laws, it was a structure to govern a society of people. It was just not given to one person and say, hey, look, you got to do all of this. It was a system that was designed to govern a society, a nation. It was just not given as a religious platform. So there was no separation between church and state in regard to the Mosaic commandments. All these commandments covered everything. How you deal in business interactions, there was no separation between Yahweh and these particular laws. You couldn't say, okay, church on the Sabbath, or we're going to have service on the Sabbath, but then you go and you do other things that are not interconnected. They are all interconnected. They're like a spider web. They all somehow overlap. So there's no separation. Everything that you do on a daily basis, all is a direct reflection of the commandments and how you interact with Yahweh. From how you eat, interact with your wife, how you do business. All of these things fall under the 613 laws, and it was meant to govern a society, to govern Israel as a nation. So when people say, oh, that's done away with, if you understood how great, how magnificent, for the lack of a better term, that these commandments were, when you look at them, you would say, wow, man, if we had this as a governing body, we would be very successful. And this is why the Ashkenazi Jew is so very successful. But we'll get to that in some later lessons. But I do want to touch on the whole thing about, and I hear this a lot, I've heard this a lot, about Jesus, number one, fulfilling them, and number two, and you'll see in a lot of different areas, you're going to say, well, I can't see that we would have to stop doing that. And then number two, you have people saying, well, he came and he fulfilled them all because he kept them all. It's an impossibility for Jesus or Yeshua, or whoever you want to refer to him as, to have kept all of them. And once again, he might have fulfilled the penalty phase of them with his suffering and his death. But as far as he lived out all 600, it's an impossibility. He was a carpenter, not a farmer. It was an impossibility because he was a male, not a female. So it was an impossibility for him to have followed all these commandments, which makes zero sense. But when you sit in a position of ignorance and you allow someone to speak to you, and then you turn right around and repeat what they said, it shows your ignorance. And, for a lack of a better term, it shows your ignorance, instead of getting in there, actually researching, studying, and understanding why these things were set in play. What do they say? What do they mean? How they are applicable? So no, there was no way possible for Yeshua, Jesus, whoever you want to call him, to have actually lived out all of these commandments, like I hear so many times. It was an impossibility, because number one, like he said himself, I have come and fulfilled the things in accordance to me that the prophet spoke about. But I digress on that point and get back to this particular topic. So now, understanding where they are, and understanding there's 613, understanding you can find all 613 in the first 5 books of the Bible. Now, understand, all of these are not universal. And what I mean by all the commandments are not universal, meaning that a lot of brothers have different, opinions on certain commandments. And later on today, when you watch the next video, you will see that the first 2 that I do will be automatically one that has been wildly debated. So understanding that in certain communities they might say that, and I'm gonna give you a general instance. When Yahweh says, "Be fruitful and multiply," you have a divide in regard to that. Now, people don't divide community wise because of this commandment. I'm just saying, just give you an example where Yahweh says, "Be fruitful and multiply." Now, some say that was just a blessing. Some say that was a commandment to, go out, have children, procreate, and fill the earth. Others say, no, that was just a blessing. This was an honor that he passed or bestowed upon them to be able to do this. And this is where you have a divide. And that's why I say all of them aren't universal. So you might hear me give one and you might say, well, nah, I don't, you know what I'm saying? And you can always put in the comment section in a respectful fashion why you don't believe that it's a particular commandment or you think it is. And I'm not talking about to be fruitful and multiply when I'm just giving you an example. So understanding that they're not all universally accepted as being commandments. So the 613 that I've compiled fall along the lines of from personal research and going along with Maimonides. Maimonides is a Hebrew scholar who would have actually been the first one to compile a book where he actually notated each 613 commandment. So I kind of lean towards, and he's highly reverenced in Israel today by the Ashkenazis. He's a black Israelite. If you would like to research him, read From Babylon to Timbuktu. Towards the back, the brother talks about him a lot, and he goes into detail explaining who Maimonides is. Like I say, I fall kind of underneath the teachings and educating Maimonides, and I subscribe to more or less. Now, there's a few that I kind of look at and say, but more or less I look at what he says, and I stick to that. I don't throw his information away because I don't agree with one point, which a lot of us do because it's not really a detrimental thing. But once again, not to get lost. But this is what we will be covering in these particular forums. And I just want, like I say, I wanted to make sure that you understood going forward what this platform will be used for. What this platform will be used for and what we are attempting to achieve with this. Once again, we want to do, or I want to do 3 of them. And not take a whole lot of time doing those 3. Something that you might be able to listen to in the morning, something you might be able to open up your Bible and follow along with, apply to your life. Just learning the 613 commandments is very important as Israelites because it is a part of your heritage and culture, and this is what you're supposed to follow and do. So, with that being said, I want to go ahead and digress. And once again, remember, the old page is going to be shut down. If you receive here today a notification from myself that we're getting ready we've set up the new page already, and that we want your board, go to it, send a request, and we are going to pull you on in, and it's going to be a private page. Once again, there's going to be things on that page that if you are a member of the page, that you will only have access to, starting off with the Gemek or the storehouse, that you will have first dibs on it. Also, there's going to be, it's just going to be a lot on the page that you'll have access to. But I'm going to go ahead and close this one out and jump into the next one so I can get that uploaded. And just Shabbat Shalom, brothers and sisters out there. And once again, if you haven't already, go on over to the YouTube channel, the Remnant of the House of Israel. Anybody can go on there and like and subscribe. I might just turn the comment section off But anybody can go on there, like and subscribe. We're going to continue to upload just videos, random videos, but it's going to be something that's going to be strictly for the page, the Facebook page. But there'll be a lot of content on that. This will actually be on that. Also, the Backyard Chronicles, which I probably will be changing the name, and if I do, I will notify you, to the Boomer Logic. Like and subscribe there. Hit the bell for notifications because we'll be uploading more videos as we have been. And just, man, if you enjoy this content, spread the word. We're getting ready to get into a lot of other things. And I just appreciate your time this morning. Shabbat Shalom for those who are keeping the Sabbath. And have a good day for those of you who are not.